Hello. As soon as I start talking, the dogs start woofing. Shush. Hi, everyone. How are you all? It's Tuesday night. It's 20 to 8. So I thought Harriet's out at the theatre and I thought I'd just sit and have a little chat with you and tell you about an experience or something, a lesson I've learned in life. And that was when I learnt to be a 999 response driver. So, as you know, I was a police officer for Kent Police and I joined in 2005 and I left in 2015. So I've been out a while now, so I'm sure a few of these things have changed. Um, However, the principles I don't think have changed for decades, and I couldn't see them really changing anytime soon. So um, I was about 2 years into my course. Oh, sorry, into being a police officer. I'd finished my probation. I was on coming out the other side of it, and there was a shortage of courses. Everyone was fighting over them, and in the police they're called standard courses. And so everybody was trying to get the most arrests, was trying to do the most tickets, was trying to get their accident cards up to date, and do whatever the sergeant wanted. Shh, do whatever the sergeant wanted um, in order to be the one who gets the course. So it kept going to other people because I wouldn't do enough, and I was like a bit indignant. I was like, I don't think I should have to, kiss butt to get a course, and you should give it to me. I'm the best, blah blah blah. So I didn't understand why I kept getting passed over, and other people were getting the courses. The arrogance of youth, eh? Um, so eventually, however, I was given a course and I was really excited and I couldn't wait. And it's a 3 week course. Um, and you go along, so it's quite intense. And I thought I was a great driver and I was going to go there and I was going to be the best ever. And when you join the police, the thing you're excited about is driving a police car fast. Come on, let's face it. You want to drive a car like you stole it. Um, and I was, what, 21, something like that. So I was still young, 20, maybe 22. And I was excited and I really wanted to, do this thing that I've been waiting 2.5 years and sat in other people driving all the time and wanting it to be me. So I go to the driver training school over at Maidstone headquarters where the skid pan and stuff is, and I reported in. And then the first day, you go and you get into your Skoda, it was, and we had to, yeah, you have to do sort of all these different checks, and you check the car. You have to check every day. You check it power, I think it is the acronym for it, and you check the petrol, oil, washer. I can't remember the others. Well, whatever. And you check all the fluids on the car, you check the tyres, the pressures, all the lights, and all of these kind of things, which took forever and was so boring. All I wanted to do was go and drive a car fast. And anyway, so we did that, and then you think, right, it's my turn to drive. What are we going to do? And the driving instructor sits in the car with you, and you drive like Mrs. Daisy. You have to prove that you can drive perfectly. So your back being polished, so your mirror, signal maneuver, and you realise how rusty you've got with the highway code and everything, even though you're a policeman. So basically the driving instructor kicks your butt for about 2 or 3 days, making sure your driving is really tip top. And then they then say, right, I think you're ready. We can start doing some response driving. And that means that you can so whenever you hit a speed limit, you can do 20 miles an hour above, no more. This is for training. And you can, in a national, go up to 100 miles an hour if it's safe to do so. But it's all about dynamic risk assessment and all of these things. Now, I found a little video that it's a 1 minute video, and I thought we'd watch it together and I'd explain a little bit about it for you. 1 second. Uh, where are we? Let's do that. Click that button. Yes, share. Right, we should be sharing screen now, gang. So I'm going to put this. Where's the video? Where's the video? Here it is. Okay, so this is probably a little old. Hoping you can hear this.
I've trained for 7 years now. Today we are going to do some standard response training, which is a week's course where we'll be out on the road, basically doing some using the blues and twos on the car. First part of the day is to go and...
So here we go, you can see, doing the tyres, doing the checks, the boring bit, but it's very important, and you should do it for your own car as well, because you know these things do change, and how are you going to spot if you've got an oil leak or something like that? So it is really important to check your tyres.
Response driving. So what we're going to do is drive from
here we go
down towards Derby. So there's a lot of urban driving on that route. We'll take some back roads to get down.
So you can see they're keeping pretty steady on this part. They're accelerating up now, so you can see that they're probably going 40, 50 in a 30, is that 30? Yeah, 30 zone. Now they're looking at their road positioning.
Positioning on the road, which should send a message to the members of the public and a nice calm approach from them as well. We've just done a drive now from Derby through towards Swarthing-Cote with one of our drivers. Now we're going to swap over, do a further drive, which will involve some urban.
So you can see the officers just switch over and you do it. And you get quite far as well. We used to go all the way down to Dover for lunch. So just pausing that there. So this is something that you might find interesting. In the police, they teach you about something called the system. And the system is an acronym, IPSCAR. It could have been better, I think, but IPSCAR is information, position, speed, gear, accelerate. So as you approach this bend here, I'm hoping you can see the little mouse person or the finger. And you can see as we come into this corner here, you've got this vanishing point here. This is where one side of the road meets the other side of the road. So in order, as you come along, you want to be positioning yourself so you've got the best view along the road, and you're looking for this vanishing point. And as you're approaching, you need to keep slowing down until this vanishing point starts moving. Okay, when it starts moving, you know that you can then put your foot back on the accelerator and ride the corner round. And in fact, you want to be accelerating out of a corner rather than braking out of a corner, because when you're under acceleration, the vehicle's gripping the ground, but when you're braking, you're fighting friction. So you want to be powering out of these corners. So slow in, fast out. Look at the information, position yourself, take the correct speed for the corner, take the correct gear, so it might be a third, and then as you start coming out and you see that vanishing point move, it's boom, 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 power on, power on, power on. Okay, but one interesting thing here, you can see there's double lines on the road. That's why he hasn't positioned in a different way, because you still can't really be breaking those white lines, because although you technically can in an emergency, they're there for a reason. It's because it's a blind bend and it's dangerous. You must keep really far out in case a motorbike's taking it low. Anyway, so spent a week doing that. It was fantastic. We drove around. We went all the way over to Dover and we had lunch at the P&O building there. Then we went up to Essex and went to one of the headquarters and had lunch there. And lunch was even included in those days, which was pretty cool. And these places know how to eat well. But week 2, I just turned up, and I don't know why, but I got it in my head I was rubbish. And I just decided I'm going to fail this. I don't know, my wife, I don't know if we'd recently just had the baby or whether the baby was, or, you know, Katie was young. But I just remember coming home saying, I'm not going to do this. I'm rubbish. I'm not as good as the others there. And I wasn't as good as the other drivers. I was unlucky, or lucky, I don't know how you want to describe it, that every time the other guys got in the car, they were exceptional. And I mean exceptional drivers. They just were naturally able to do it. And I was like a troll trying to drive. And it turns out I'm not that good at driving. And that was a really hard thing to accept, you know, especially when that was something you dreamt of doing, being a police fast car driver. And I had this sinking feeling I might not pass the test. And I kept trying to put it out of my mind, and we kept doing the drives, and I kept getting sort of the slap on the wrist for the silly mistakes and the basics. And anyway, it comes to the test day, and I turn up, and it's my final drive. So I get in the car and off we go. And I just had it in my head. I was already beaten before I even went. And I went out, did the drive, and I was thinking, oh, this is good. And I saw the opportunity for an overtake, and I took this overtake. And then I carried on, did the rest of the drive, and I got back. And she said to me straight away, she said, you failed. You did a dangerous overtake, and and I said, you failed. And I said, oh, so normally you can do on a Thursday you fail, on the Friday you do the retest. So and I said, oh well, can I do the retest on Friday? And she said, no, you can't do the retest. Um, I'm not happy. You need to come back on a different course. And I was like, oh no, the world was over. I was terrified I was going to be bullied and everyone was going to laugh at me. I'd never heard of somebody failing and be going back to section and saying, oh, I failed. I didn't get through my course. So it was like the most humiliating thing ever. And I'd built it into this huge thing. So anyway, I was really upset about it. And they sent me back. They said, sorry, you've got to come, but you still got to come tomorrow for celebration for the other two because they've passed. So I got the next day. We went out for breakfast, and I was like, unfortunately, I can't hide my emotions. So I was like, fuck this, I don't want to be here. And but I was trying to be happy for these other guys as well. So I was like, well done, guys, and trying to be magnanimous and the bigger person. But inside, I was like a knot, and I wanted to like, I don't know, I was so angry. But I did it, and I was pleased for the guys. And we drove back, and that was that. So I had to then go back to section, and I was like, oh my God. And I didn't sleep the night before. I was a nightmare for Becky, my ex-wife. And I get in the next day and I go in, and when you start your shift, you all go and put your kit on, and then you report to the briefing room where you have a briefing before you start your shift, the parade. And there was about, I don't know, 20 guys normally in there. And I got in and I was like, oh no, went down, and nobody was horrible. Absolutely no one. A few people went, sorry, mate, sorry about that. Don't worry, you'll get it next time. And that was it. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. The thing I was the most terrified of was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. And my sergeant went, Grantham, he went, why are you wasting the government's money on failing their courses? He said, I've got a letter here for you. You're going on your remedial refresher next week. And I was like, it was a laugh. Everyone laughed. He gave me his note and he gave me a pat on the back. His name's Sergeant Keith Michelle, and he's the best sergeant I ever had. And he patted me on the back and he went, you'll be all right, mate. You've got this. And yeah, and then I went back the week later and I got in the car, different driving instructor this time. And I had to go and I did a day driving round, and they went, there's nothing wrong with your driving. You're absolutely fine. And I drove and I was relaxed and I was calm. And then then it was my time for my test, and I did my final drive, and off I went. Best drive I've ever done. Smooth and everything. And I got back and they went, pass, no problem at all. You're a good driver, Steve. And I went, and that was the day I learned the lesson. The lesson was I let fear dictate. I let the fear of doing something overcome. And actually, the thing I was afraid of was nothing. It was nothing. So that second time, because I had no fear of failure, I just thought, well, if I have to do 10 remedial refreshers, I will. The worst thing that had happened had happened. I'd failed, and it weren't that bad. So I was just like, okay, and that because that weight was lifted, I passed it. And I remember getting back, and I'll finish now because I know I'll waffle on. And I remember I got back and I was proud as punch passing that thing. And and I was like, I'm gonna go and drive it, because they're unmarked police cars as well. You train in. It's you don't get to drive a marked vehicle till you get back to the station. And I remember getting there and I walked down and he chucked me my keys. He went, what are you doing hanging around here for? He said, I don't expect you to take anything other than flash calls, which means immediate calls. And then everybody was waiting on the team. They were all waiting and nobody would take the first flash call. So they were calling up and calling up and they went, "Oh, Steve, you're going to have to go." And it was a long run all the way across to Tunbridge Wells. And it was great. And I went and did that, and everyone celebrated for me and was pleased with me. So that's the power of being part of a team. And yeah, failure taught me something that I would have never learnt without it. So I hope that helps. I hope that you learned something from that. If you've got any questions, you want me to do more about the training I did or the experiences I had, I can talk forever about loads of stuff. So all you need to do is whack it in the comments and let me know. And if you're feeling really good, subscribe. You chip in a little bit towards B2R Health Coaching. You know I'll make the money go a million miles and change a lot of lives. Thanks, guys. How do I stop it recording? Stop.